Australia's involvement in World War I was not of little significance, with the Australian Imperial Force fighting in some of the most desperate days of the war. Some 400,000 Australian men had enlisted between 1914 to 1918 to aid Britain in the war to end all wars, but to what extent did they enlist for British interest? Did they enlist for other purposes? During the First World War, reasons for enlistments varied from the belief it was an adventure, propaganda, fear, peer pressure, and a sense of duty. From a young Australian's naive view, the war was an adventure, an opportunity to travel, experience the thrill of conflict, get good pay, and prove themselves as men. This was nearly all too much to pass by. At the beginning of the war, there was a wild belief that it would all be over by Christmas. Recruits were worried that the war would be over before they had a chance to fight, thus the large number of enlistments in 1914. John Simon Kirkpatrick, a part of the first contingent of Australian troops to depart for war, wrote in a letter home, "I'm not surprised, for men were just simply going mad out there to go to war. There was many a men envied us first contingent men for being so lucky to get off to the war." Enthusiasm for the war in the early days was still strong, because nobody knew about the harsh realities of the front. Propaganda had also contributed to establishing the belief that the war was an adventure. Posters advertised an opportunity to travel Europe and idolised Australian heroes like Victoria Cross winner Albert Jacka to inspire men to enlist. Many men enlisted to fight for the mother country because there was a deep belief it was their duty. It was believed the mother country was under threat from invasion by Germany, even though they had no intention of doing so. Due to the fact Australia in 1914 was only 13 years old, Australians still believed England was the mother country. Andrew Fisher, leader for the Labour Party, famously stated, "Should the worst happen after everything has been done that honour will permit, Australians will stand beside the mother country to help and defend her to our last man and our last shilling." Such was Australia's great loyalty and pride for England. They believed Great Britain was superior to other nations. The outcome of this was Australians began to develop animosity towards other nations such as Germany. This created the anti-German sentiment and made Australians more willing to fight for the mother country. Lance Corporal F.C. Mulvey, 2nd Light Horse, AIRF, wrote, "I feel convinced in my own mind that being suited in physique and occupation and being prompted by a sense of duty and spirit of adventure, I can hardly do anything else but volunteer." Australians at the time of the First World War had a natural sense of patriotism and loyalty. Men felt obliged to fight in the war because other men had gone and joined up. Though not all sense of duty was towards the mother country, some men felt obliged to go to the war for their comrades who had fallen at Gallipoli or the Western Front. There are many other individual reasons Australians signed up. Peer pressure was another common reason. Men who didn't want to get shamed on by their peers and family joined up to avoid embarrassment and disgrace. Those who stayed at home were constantly accused of their lack of manliness. It was once said that it takes more courage to stay at home than go to the front. It wasn't just peers that put pressure on the men who stayed at home. Propaganda consistently filled men with guilt for not having joined up yet. The worst form of shame was the white feather, handed out by women, the symbol of cowardice given to young, able men who had not volunteered for active service yet. There had been some cases of men who had already served and had been discharged, came home and received a white feather. Badges and armbands had to be made to prevent this happening to soldiers when they returned on leave. Fear was another reason Australians enlisted. Posters depicted German soldiers invading Australia and terrorising helpless Australian families. The purpose of this sort of propaganda was to create fear and guilt the men who hadn't already enlisted, who were supposedly going to wait for Germany to invade Australia. In conclusion, Australians did enlist to help defend the mother country, but many Australians enlisted due to their own reasons, such as the ones already stated: adventure, sense of duty, propaganda, and peer pressure. Thank you.